Well, all right. So again, good afternoon, everyone. And earlier, I asked you to, if you're permitting me to uh, record this meeting, and then you, ano naman po, give your permission. No? Okay lang ba? Bigyan niyo ulit ako ng heart react. Okay, heart react po. Kung talagang, ayan. So, ibig sabihin po, talagang kayo po ay binigyan ako ng consent, no, to record this meeting. And we can use this recording naman, for ano din, for our future reference then if you have some questions or clarification, no, para mas maintindihan ninyo lalo. Alright, so ayan. Sarap ako. Okay, so today, no, I'll be going to present you about the ambiguity in T.S. Eliot's poetry. So I know that some of you has an idea about T.S. Eliot, no? And if we'll talk about T.S. Eliot, no, we're familiar with his works. No? He is a giant modernist poetry, and I know that us, uh, some of us here, uh, ay nakilala si T.S. Eliot na ang mga work niya na mahirap, no, mahirap intindihin. Okay? So today, no, we're going to explore why his poetry feels this way by turning the lens of linguistics onto his work. Now, specifically using the findings of a study on the ambiguity in his poems. And today, also, our goal, no, is not to resolve or to solve uh, Eliot's work, no, but to understand his method of writing, no, his method, no, yung kanyang sulat ng kanyang work. And the complexity, no, is not a flaw, no, it is a deliberate technique. And we will analyze it using the model of ambiguity, defined by linguist Gerald Gerald Katz. No, si Gerald Katz, siya po yung uh, siya po yung uh, theorist, no, o ng theory of ambiguity. Now, we use the descriptive qualitative analysis for this study, and our objective here, no, to systematically analyze the presence and function of ambiguity in selected poems by T.S. Eliot. And to give you, no, our objective this afternoon or this day, uh, sa ating pong lecture na ito, we will be able to define and identify the three main types of linguistic ambiguity. Ano ba yung ano na yan, linguistic ambiguity na tinutukoy ni Sir Zhu. Now we will also explain how Eliot uses these ambiguities to deepen meaning. Medyo mahirap, no? Mahirap intindihin yung material, no? Yung article that uh, I indicated in our syllabus, so that I can ano po, no, I simplify, no, dito sa ating pong klase, no, in this class. I'll give you the simplified discussion about the ambiguity, no, sa sorry, T.S. Eliot's work, no, using the linguistic ambiguity. And number three, no, we'll understand why his poetry requires and rewards active reader engagement. So bakit kaya? Bakit kaya natin nasabing rewarding siya? No, why his poems, no, some of his poems are ano po, no, are rewarding, and also observe, no? Ma-observe here the active reading engagement or reader engagement. Okay? So, but first, I have ano lang po, a simple activity before we proceed to our discussion. I'm requiring you all to understand, to read, and to watch the video presentation that I'll be presenting it to you. Okay? So please stand by, no? Listen carefully, read the subtitle, read the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, no? Written by T.S. Eliot.
Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, licked its dung into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet, and time for all the works and days of hands that lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair with a bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions which a minute will reverse. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room, so how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And would it have been worth it after all? After the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me? No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do to swell a progress, start a scene or two, advise the prince. No doubt an easy tool, deferential, glad to be of use, full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous. Almost, at times, the fool. I grow old. I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach. I have heard the mermaids singing each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea-girls wreathed with seaweed red and brown, till human voices wake us and we drown.
Alright. Ayan. So, okay na. Sorry na mali ako. Hindi ko na open yung ano ko. Tawag dito. Yung uh, subtitle. But I can ano po no, I can share it with you. You can scan the QR code, provided here in our PowerPoint, so that you can visit his works. Okay? Sige. Now let's proceed to our discussion. As we can see, as you can recall, the linguistic ambiguity. We consider this as the linguistic toolkit, no? And I'll be introducing it to you, the three types. I'll introduce to you the three types of ambiguity by Katz model, no? So in a literary text, ambiguity simply means more than one plausible meaning. Now, the study we're discussing found three key types at work in Eliot's poetry. Now, particularly in works like The Wasteland and yung Proof Rock. No, yung kanina, it's a material from Eliot, entitled Proof Rock. No, or yung The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Okay? So, mamaya, bigyan natin ng diin, we will give you a enlighten the definition and also the analysis from the material, the article, or the study or the research that we use in this discussion. So here are the three types of ambiguity. First, we have the lexical ambiguity, no? So when we talk about lexical ambiguity, this is the most frequent type in Eliot's work. Ito po yung mas nakikita ngayon, mas nakikita sa uh, study ni T.S. Eliot. Or I mean sa work ni T.S. Eliot. And it occurs when a single word has multiple possible meanings. When we define it, ambiguity is stemming from a single word having multiple possible meanings. And in the context, doesn't fully eliminate any of them. So let's try to to give you an example. For example, this part, this stanza, it says here from the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. But in the lamplight, down with the light brown hair, is it perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table or a wrap about a shawl. And should I then presume? And how should I begin? So nakita ninyo, the word lie here, let's think of a word like the word like, a lie. It can mean to recline or sumandal, or to tell an untruth. Nakita ninyo, maraming ibig sabihin. Arms that lie along a table are wrapped about a shawl. So meaning, meron siyang ibig sabihin na marami. Sumandal ka sa arms niya, arms that lie along a table. Sumandal siya doon sa table, yung arms that lie along a table, or to tell an untruth, arms that lie along a table. So meaning, meron siyang malalim na ibig sabihin. Maybe we could express the writer expressed here na literally or figuratively. No, so Eliot words rich with connotation. So forcing you to hold all meanings in your mind simultaneously. And this makes his vocabulary heavy and dense. So the studies finding dito sa research natin na nagamit that this is the most common type underscores Eliot's masterful and also yung multi-layered diction. So what is the significance of uh, this type? No? The frequent occurrence of this type highlights Eliot's precise and multi-layered word choice. Pag sinabi multi-layered, di ba? Pag sinabing by, marami, dalawa. Pag multi, no, multiple layered. May ibig sabihin siya dito sa literal meaning, may ibig sabihin siya in the literal meaning, figuratively meaning, and so on. So maraming pwedeng pasok na pasok na ibig sabihin. Naintindihan? No? So please give us a give us a heart react. Give me a heart react if you truly understood this point. Number 1. Number 2, the structural ambiguity. I'd like to to recognize Miss Francine. Siya po gumawa ng PowerPoint presentation. Thank you so much, Miss Francine, for helping us to use your to use your creativity para sa paggawa nitong PowerPoint. Number 2, the structural ambiguity, or in other words, the sentence setup. Right? When we define structural ambiguity, ambiguity arising when a phrase or sentence has more than one valid grammatical structure. Imagine, no? For example, let's try to have an example here. Ayan. Sa kay Love Song of Alfred Prufrock. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky. Like a patient etherized upon a table, let us go through a certain half-deserted streets. The muttering retreats of restless nights in a one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. So the word here, we highlighted here the like a patient etherized upon a table. No, we consider the famous opening image. No, this one, famous opening image from the love song of J. Alfred. No, like a patient etherized upon table. It has two meanings. No, two interpretation. It can be adjectival. No, adjectival. When we say adjectival, from the word adjective, it's more on descriptive. Descriptive expression. No, the phrase upon a table modifies the patient. This is just only an interpretation, no? Or a patient who happens to own a table. Diba? Ano ba nangyari doon sa tao? Doon sa table na yon. Or the interpretation number 2, adverbial. No? The phrase modifies the action of being etherized, or the etherization procedure is taking place on a table. So if we'll try to understand no the meaning of etherize. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng etherize? Okay? So according to the dictionary, when we talk about etherize, no, anesthetize no, of a person or a uh, or a an animal, no? Anesthesia para siyang ano no, para siyang anesthesia, use of medicine, no, to prevent pain during the surgery. Meaning this term or this sentence talks about a patient authorized upon the table. Ibig sabihin, ginagamot sa table, no? Dinescribe siya, ginagamot ang tao sa table, or in other word, it modifies action of being etherized. Ibig sabihin, the procedure of etherization ginagawa doon sa loob ng doon sa hindi sa loob no sa mismong table. So magkaiba yung pinapakita sa procedural, no? Description of etherize doon or paggagamot sa table o yung procedural kung ano paano ginagawa yung table. Paano siya anong ginagawa sa table. Procedural ng paggamot sa table. Naintindihan? Okay? So Eliot leaves it unresolved. No, the ambiguity makes the image unstable, fitting the uncertain state of the speaker. No, as you can see, no, if you try to linguistic element, you can now consider that language is full of mysteries. Nakita ninyo kung gaano kayaman ang language. Naintindihan? So, could you give us, no, give our, give a heart react to this, to this presentation. Ayan. So, thank you so much. And, next is the referential ambiguity. Ambiguity where a pronoun or nominal phrase can refer to two or more possible antecedents or entities. So let's try to analyze. So let's try to to understand the root word of this element or this type. Referential ambiguity. Reference. If we'll try to analyze the work of Eliot, let's use this this stanza. And would it have been worth it after all? After the cups that marmalade the tea, among the porcelain among some talk of you and me, would it have been worthwhile to have bitten off the matter with a smile, to have squeezed the universe into a bowl, to roll it towards some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead. Come back to tell you all I shall tell you all. If one settling a pillow by her head should say, that is not what I meant at all. That is not it at all. So we highlighted here, the researcher highlighted here the phrase or the sentence, would it have been worth it after all? Now, this occurs when a pronoun or phrase could refer to more than one entity in the text. For example, in this one, no, what is it? No, yung word it here. The word is left hanging. So that does it refer to the question he wanted to ask, or the entire social visit, or his whole miserable life? So, big sabihin, would it have been worth it? Worth it. Pag tinry mo siyang i-sink in sa isip mo, ano bang it na tinutukoy dito? Is it a uh, personal experience of a person, of a writer, of the actor, of this poem? Or maybe the question that he wanted to ask, no? Or it talks about the whole society, no? Dito sa kwento na ito. Because ito yung tinatawag na referential ambiguity. Nakita ninyo? Ano ba ibig sabihin it na to? May reference ka. No? Kung worth it ba? No? Would it have been worth it? After all, sa lahat ba ng pangyayari na ito, may worth ba to? Sino tong it na to? No, would it have been worth it? Sino bang worth it dito na tinutukoy? So the reference here, or the referent here is still unclear. Because the question becomes enormous. No? Ibig sabihin, mysterious, encapsulating all his failures and doubts. Kaya uh, valid talaga na pag nagbasa ka ng mga classical works, considering uh, T.S. Eliot's works, ambiguous siya. Ang hirap intindihin. Even the works, no, yung The Black Unicorn, diba? Dati ginagamit ko rin yung mga works yan Black Unicorn. Kalimutan ko yung pangalan. Ano pa ba? Maraming ibig sabihin, maraming gustong ilabas, maraming pwedeng pagkuhanan, no, ng kwento. So, still, no, these three elements showcase, no, that Eliot's works are ambiguous. Okay? So now let's proceed the significance. Let's proceed to the significance of ambiguity. Now, ambiguity, no, we use it as a modernist tool. No? Why ambiguity matters? Bakit nga ba siya mahalaga? Bakit nga ba siya nagmamatter sa atin as English majors, no? Not just only in English majors, but as also human being. Because Eliot was not trying to frustrate us. Hindi niya gusto tayo ay maguluhan or malito. He was trying to achieve something essential to modernism. Because the study that concludes that this ambiguity is the key to understanding his profound impact. Nakita ninyo, lumabas dito yung reflection of fragmented reality. Because Eliot's era marked by the collapse of old certainties. The horrors of the World War I. Ano ba ang nangyari ng World War I? Magulo, disaster. Diba? You're seeking for the true identity because wala kang mapuntahan. No? Because there are a breakdown of religion and shifting toward an industrial society. Because in Eliot's ambiguous language mirrors this fragmentation. His lines refuse to settle on single meaning because the world itself refuses to settle. Parang tao lang din pala yung language. Diba? Gusto nating gusto nating maging maayos yung ating buhay, pero sumusunod tayo sa bagay na ikakasira natin. Parang ano lang din, parang pagmamahal lang din. Alam mo masisira ka sa taong yun, pero patuloy mo pa rin siyang minamahal. So, that's the realization that we can absorb and apply it, no, studying ambiguity. Okay? The reader's confusion becomes the subject's experience. Diba? Ang gandang pakinggan pero masakit na katotohanan. Letter B. Dapat letter B to. Should be letter B. Encouraging active reader engagement. The poem that gives you all the answers is passive. Hindi siya active. Passive siya. Oh, maraming pupuntahan, maraming filtering before you get the information, the themes. No, Eliot's ambiguity demands active participation. Imagine, the answers of all the given information from the ambiguity cues or elements nagbigay sa atin ng kalaliman at pangunawa o yung tinatawag nating active reading engagement. Kaya kung gusto yung maging active reader, no, you read Eliot's work or mga classical works. Okay? So because we can be sure if Profrac's head or mind of the actor of the material that we use, yung the love song of Alfred Prufrock. Excuse me. No, is literally on a platter, no, literal man siya, or if it is a metaphorical or metaphor for his emasculation. You must choose. So, meron tayong pwedeng puntahan. Pwede niyong gawing literal o pwede rin niyong gawing metaphorical or figurative. No? At I like the comment from Vince. Now, I think ambiguity in this case is important po to allow readers to interpret and feel in different ways po. Tama. No? So, that's why if we'll try to go back again to the language in literary texts, the purpose of poetry is entertainment. Hindi para tumawa ka, hindi para umiyak ka, para intindihin mo, maintindihan mo, ma-apply mo, no? Ma-develop yung puso mo, mag-transform ka, no? That's how entertainment works. Diba? Parang lang din yan, panonood ninyo ng mga pop culture na shows. Diba? Nakakatawa man siyang pakinggan, pero the deeper meaning there, merong impact na ito yung katotohanan kahit nakakatawa. Pero meron siyang purot sa dibdib, sa puso ng bawat tao. So I don't know, no? What's your interpretation, no, to your favorite pop culture shows? At the end of the day, the real purpose, no? Doon tayo papasok sa real purpose why you watch this or read this movie. No? So again, tama yun, no? It is up to us, no, kung ano ang ibig sabihin nito. Diba? Parang ngayon lang, pinag-uusapan natin yung kilalang palabas ngayon, yung Quezon, yung Bayani Verse ng TBA Studios. Diba? So nagkaroon ng kaya yun yung magandang practice natin. After we watch a movie, there is a talk back sessions. Why? Dahil meron siyang nakakapagbigay pa, no, ng saloobin ng pangunawa, ng pag-intindi at ng mas malalim pa, no, na nanggagaling sa puso mo kung ano ba ang gustong iparating nito. Okay? So, okay, yun po yun. And next is synthesizing layered meaning. Ambiguity allows Eliot to convey multiple ideas or at once. So there is a synthesizing layered meanings. Meaning, no, sa isang work na to, pwede nating sabihin na mayroon siyang ipinaparating sa mga kababaihan, sa kalalakihan, sa LGBTQI, sa community, sa bansang Pilipinas, sa mga anak, sa mga tatay. So maraming kwento na pwedeng pagpasukan. Depende sa sitwasyon na gusto mong ilabas or gusto mong i-apply. No? For example, no, the phrase from Gerontion. Lang ha. Lowback mo ako. So, ito sabi dito kay Gerontion by T.S. Eliot. Lang ha. Here I am, an old man in a dry mud, being ready to buy a boy, waiting for a rain. I was neither at the hot gates, nor fought in the warm rain, nor knee deep in a salt marsh, heaving a cutlass bitten by a fly's paw. My house is a decayed house. The Jew squats on the window sill. The owner, spawned in some esteminate of Antwerp, blistered in a Brussels patch, a field in London. The goat coughs at night in the field overhead. Rocks, moss, stonecrop, iron merge. The woman keeps the kitchen, makes tea. Sneeze at evening, poking the peevish gutter. I, an old man, a dull head among windy spaces. Hinighlight natin dito, no, according to the researcher of this material that we use, he or she highlighted the phrase, the Jew squats on the window sill, the owner. No? Nakita natin dito na the structure uh, defines as ambiguous. He is not just describing a man, he is engaging with the themes of ownership. Hindi ibig sabihin dito na may salita lang na owner ay mayroon ng temang ownership. Diba? Meron ding tinatawag na social status, cultural history, all compressed into single and unstable line. Kita natin, di ba, the Jew squats on the windowsill, the owner. So, if we'll try to understand the deeper meaning, for example, if we'll go to the context of Jew, makita ninyo kung ano yung storya nila. Ano ba talaga yung pinagdaanan nila? Diba? So, kung titingnan natin, itong isa kung naiisip dito, may ugali silang, di ba meron silang talagang ugali na conqueror. Diba? Bukod sa conqueror, they are warriors. Warriors, and they are, ang tag dito, may resilient. Na dahil, meron sa historically speaking, they define or they behaviors or their ninuno, mga kanilang sinuunang tao, sinuunang Hudyo, ay ganun na talaga ang lumabas. Ganun na talaga ang nakalakhan nila. Maging warrior, maging resilient, maging conquerors. So dito, nag-squat sila, but they feel that they are the owner. So meaning, may ibig sabihin dito na sense of ownership. At the same time, yung social status nila and also the cultural history. So the linguistic obscurity, no, is the carrier wave for the philosophical and emotional depth. So ibig sabihin, it will try to apply the layered meaning or it will try to apply the ambiguity. We make sure, no, there are philosophical uh, philosophical integration and emotional as well. And syempre, hindi mawawala yung history, no, for us to understand the deep meaning of or the untold stories doon sa likuran ng kwento ng isang pagkatao, ng author or ng actor o ng kwento sa loob uh, ng work na ginawa ng manunulat. Okay, to conclude, no, the study confirms that T.S. Eliot is a master manipulator of language. So siguro, ang sense dito ay hindi negative sense of being on a manipulator, but to to expand, to produce and reproduce the products, because his difficulty is a feature. Nahirapan siyang ipakita. Dapat talagang tema na gustong ipakita nito ni T.S. Eliot. May mga ganun, di ba? Lalo na si Bob. Si Bob Ong, nakikita natin, no, in some views, nakikita natin that it speaks about his works, no, speak about the current situation. Some of them, it speaks about uh, about the main issues of our society. Tao. Yung sabi naman nila, ginamit yung pangalang Bob Ong para itukoy na nagisimbolo nito, nag-represent o nag-illustrate ang bobong Pilipino. So, kita niyo, no, may ambiguity na incorporate dito. So, his difficulty is a feature, no, not a bug. Hindi po yan hindi po yan virus, no, achieved primarily through the three types of ambiguity. Now, yung lexical, the dense and multi-meaning words. Meron din tayong structural, the sentences that can be diagrammed in multiple ways. And lastly, the referential, the floating pronouns and terms that lack clear anchors. So this deliberate obscurity is what makes his poetry an enduring subject for analysis. And it forces us to slow down, to read it carefully, no? Ang tawag dito, i-ano mo siya. Kumbaga pagkain ng mani ay unti-untiin at nguya-nguyain ng maayos, and consider that every grammatical possibility, and in doing so, you experience the anxiety, no, and complexity of the modernist mind. So medyo may lang siya. Medyo may pagkalito lang. Kaya dito pa lang, kaya sa pagbabasa ninyo, no, valid para sa akin na hindi niyo maintindihan kaagad. At pangalawa, kung tinatamad kayong magbasa, syempre, meron tayong nature na pagiging tamad. Pero if you want to learn more, no, to explore more, and to engage more, no, sa iba't ibang klaseng mundo, intindihin mo ng maayos yung binabasa mo. Okay? So, to conclude, no, I'd like to ask a question or leave a question. Leave you with a question as we transition to end this discussion. Does knowing that Eliot's ambiguity is intentional change the way you approach these difficult poems? I think not only Eliot's works. Minsan may pag pinapabasa sa inyo ng mga material from your given by your teachers or your professors, even sa pagbabasa ng RRL ninyo, no? Pag nag-exam kayo, gusto niyo sumagot ka agad. Hindi, we have technique there. You need to read it carefully. No? Di ba, lagi may direction eh. Minsan di na natin binabasa yung direction. Read the work or the items or the questions carefully. And answer, encircle the correct answer. Ganun lang. Dito naman, sa pagbabasa natin ng salita, ng mga works, literary works, it's only literary works, but also mga non-literary works, we apply here. Is it intentional? Intentional change the way you approach is difficult. Is Eliot's difficult works. So, kayo na masasagot sa sarili niyo. Kaya, ang batas nga natin, di ba? Ang batas natin, may benefit of the doubt palagi. Kaya dapat dadaan yun sa due process. Tao na lang mismo ang nagja-judge, di ba? Sa Facebook. Ito, nag-ano to, nangaliwa to, no? Or something na, gumawa ng kasamaan kaya nawala sa posisyon, o nawala sa opisina, o nawala sa, nawala sa isang lugar. Meron ka agad na, na conclusion. Just like here, dito. Parang pagbabasa lang din o pag-judge lang din ng isang tao. Diba? Kailangan, dumaan ka muna, no, sa malalim at malawak na pag-iisip, pagbabasa, ibig sabihin. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng gawa or ng materials na ginamit natin? So, that's the purpose of applying or using the ambiguity, the linguistic ambiguity. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask questions. And later, I'll be sending you or giving you an information about your midterm examination. So maraming salamat for listening. Okay. All right.